What happened was...
Hey friends, it's so nice to see you. It's today, the time is now. You are here and the weather is outside your window.
Well, hello, What Happened Was audience. I'm here with composer Kristin Hevner, friend of the show from season 1, and we are here at Coop Recording Studios in Irvington, New York, re-recording our piece, The Raven.
Woo, Raven 2020, too.
We recorded it in 2020, and we're here back in 2022, now recording a studio recording of the piece, and we wanted to take you behind the scenes today to show you the recording process.
So we might do like listening to a verse and then going back and recording that. So we might go like piece by piece.
Totally.
Very piece by piece. So this one's gonna kind of kick it up a little bit.
Yeah, that's basically the same level.
Same level as here. I think this is where it starts to build, but then maybe this is where it really peaks.
Yeah. Then, all right, got it. That's where it is. That's the trick one. There's like 3, right?
Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore.
Yeah, I would punch because I don't trust my memory to last 10 seconds.
This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lighting that the lamplight gloated o'er.
We can listen to it tonight, and if there's any little punch-ins we want to make, we can do that, and then we'll just do the whole first half and the end for the bookends.
I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lining that the lamplight gloated o'er, but whose velvet violet lining with the lamplight gloating o'er, she shall press on nevermore.
Well, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
It's
you
good to
were
be
one
back.
of the OG guests in 2020. I think you were in the first season, first few episodes.
I think so, yeah.
So that was almost 2 years ago. How's your life changed?
Well, I'm out of my house now, free into the land.
Out amongst the people.
Out amongst the people.
We're here in person,
Yep,
breathing the same air.
Totally different being in the recording studio versus being at home. And although I loved our home recording, I do. That was like a really great creative time, I felt.
It was. So for those who didn't watch season 1 of What Happened Was, first of all, shame on you. Second of all, we'll fill you in. Kristin and I in season 1 talked about our project, which was recording this new composition of Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, which Kristin wrote for me, and we recorded it during the pandemic. I was in a closet underneath my stairs in a studio I built, and Kristin was in Hastings, New York, and we were texting back and forth, and that's how we kind of assembled this piece. She would text me a passage of music, and then I would record it and send it back, and that took months.
Yeah, I guess it did, didn't it?
Yeah, whereas today we're in the recording studio and
we
we're
did it
almost done. We did it in
a couple hours.
Yeah. We're coming back tomorrow and we'll wrap it up. What a luxury.
Yeah, it totally is.
And we have a recording studio, we have an engineer. It's like a totally different game.
When you're not doing everything, being the recording engineer, being the performer, being the composer, being all of that. It was, we all had 16 hats on.
Right.
With the other one.
So this is something we talk about a lot because of our wearing different hats. It's the idea of capturing a performance in a recording studio and how it's a very different thing. We were just talking about how an opera singer goes out on stage and uses the acoustics of the opera house they're in to craft around, to bend the airwaves, so to speak, and make magic and touch people. And here we're in an isolated sound booth, basically, and we are trying to reach through the microphone and grab people's attention. And it's totally different.
Totally different.
Where do we start?
I mean, the biggest thing is you're not feeding off the energy of an audience.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Right.
I'm not a performer, but I can feel that energy, and I think it can be very hard to recreate that, just the energy you get from being on stage. You're in an isolation booth here, and you kind of have to, you know, perform for that magic of performing for thousands of people, but it's, you know, just me in the other room kind of thing. So I think the headspace for a performer has to be different.
Yeah.
And you can't, you know, singing in the same, you know, unmiked in a big theater, you really have to project, and you still have to have that same delivery. But when you're in the recording studio, you kind of have to figure out how to step away from the mic, how to pull back a little bit. How do you get that same energy and intenseness, but you don't need to project it as far? So how, you know, if you do that, you're going to,
blow out the mic.
You're going to blow out the mic. So it's really like getting the same endpoint, but you have to, the journey there is a little different.
Yeah, absolutely. It's difficult. Microphone singing is very difficult. It's, you know, something I've only been doing for a couple of years now, but you have to kind of monitor each consonant. And like we stopped a few times today because I was like, oh, I skipped that consonant. And, you know, you can't do that. Whereas in a live performance, you can, and people sort of get the gist of it. Also in a live performance, like if my intonation isn't perfect, whatever, nobody cares, I'm emoting, maybe no one noticed, but in a recording you can go back and hear it again.
Well, I think that's a huge difference. It is because when you're when as an audience member, when you're watching something, it's going so fast, right? You're taking it all in.
You have so much going on.
When you're sitting listening to an album, maybe, you know, you're really listening to it and you have a different microscope on, which I think then, you know, pronunciation, intonation, all that stuff kind of becomes heightened because you're getting judged harder. You know,
for sure.
Somebody can rewind it and listen to that same pitch 16 times. So it has a different sense of how you want that album to lie.
Right. And on the flip side of that, the positive being, if you capture that magic, you can reach through someone. It's there forever. and the listener has a very intimate, visceral experience that they feel like they're the only listener in the world. And that's...
And I think we tried to capture that with Raven. Our goal for a lot of it was to capture voice crackles, and, you know, when you're in a traumatic point, you know, your voice isn't going to be perfectly situated. We didn't want a recording to have all those, you know, perfect recording, very clean. We wanted some guttural feelings. We wanted some screams. We wanted some sense of real vocals, emotional vocals, not to have it super crisp and clean. We wanted it to really reflect as if somebody was singing, going through what Poe was going through, that, you know, it would have all of these vocal emotions, and we really wanted to capture that. We didn't want it to be a perfect dotted I and crossed T. No.
And I think a filter we put on this project from the beginning was to make the storyteller Poe himself, having just lost his wife, and he is mourning that, and Lenore is his wife in our telling of it, and he's hoping that she'll return and that it's all a bad dream. And, he's not sleeping and just being haunted by these visions and in deep grief. So that really lent itself to having an emotional vocal delivery that wasn't like, you know, perfect operatic delivery that we might expect from Puccini.
Right. But I will say too, the flip side is it's very hard to sound so perfect but crackly. You know what I mean? I think it's very hard to get that emotion to sound very visceral and very like what would happen naturally. However, like we said, to loop it back, we are a little bit under the microscope, that how do we get it to sound so raw and visceral but also pleasing in that circle? And I think that's a very hard line to find. You know, so I think that it sounds like we're letting our hair down, but I think it can be almost even harder.
Really hard work.
You know, it's really harder to get that, you know, that line, you know, to ride that line.
Yeah. Well, let's take our viewers behind the scenes and show them some of our recording session.
Yeah, come on, guys.
I'll go. Well, it was a lot of fun today. Looking forward to being back in the studio tomorrow.
Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, it's great. Now, you know the drill. Can I ask you some fun questions?
Of course, always.
Okay, who's your favorite artist right now?
Ooh, I think I have to say Charlie XCX. I'm kind of obsessed right now.
Got it. What's your favorite new track of this summer? We've had a lot of good ones. Beyonce put out an album. Lizzo put out an album.
I know. I think
Lil
I might
Nas
have.
X.
I might have to go with the Lizzo album.
Yeah,
Just the whole album.
it's good.
The
It's
whole
really
album.
good.
Yeah,
It's really
really
good. Okay, this is going to be really, really difficult. You can only listen to one artist for the rest of your life.
That's like impossible.
I know,
because I
but
have
you
so
have to
many
answer.
different moods. Like
can
one
change your mind
artist
tomorrow.
doesn't.
Tell us. Who is it?
All right. I'm just gonna go with Charlie XCX because I think
Okay.
she has so many different tracks that I could like vibe to it. I could like run to it. I could just like chill to it. So she has so many different things. I'm gonna go with her.
All right, I like it. Desert Island with 3 artists
Beyonce.
who have ever lived. Yes.
Okay. Beyonce for sure.
Yes, that was quick.
Yeah, that was like right off there. Let's see. I think I would do. I don't know what he was like personally, but I feel like I really love Puccini, so I would maybe take Puccini with me too.
I think he was wild.
Was
so
he
probably
wild?
that'd
So
be
he
a
could
great
be
party.
fun on the island?
Yeah, he was like writing the opera, the night of the premiere. So.
Well, that sounds like me. I
Yes,
think that's what we did
yes.
with Midsummer Night's Dream. I
Yes.
think I literally was writing it as
Yeah.
you were like getting sewn into your costume,
Right.
and I was like, "Oh, here you go."
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So
Okay.
I'll take
Beyonce,
Beyonce, Puccini. One more artist.
Yeah, you get one more.
You come.
Stop.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, thank you.
That'll be a
Thank
party.
you. That would be a party.
I think the 4 of us would be dope.
Yeah. I mean, if I was there, Puccini would disappear in the middle of the night, and you guys would be like, "Where'd he go?" I'd be like, "Oh no." But yeah.
It would be fun though.
Sorry,
It would be a
Puccini.
party.
Yeah. All right, I asked you this before, but I'm going to ask you again because it's 2 years later. You can go back in time to any moment in your life and tell your younger self in that moment one thing.
I would say to enjoy the ride and have more fun and don't over worry about everything.
And what is the meaning of life?
Oh gosh. I don't know.
That's an answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But hopefully it can be that we all love each other.
Yeah. What's your favorite key signature?
It's kind of a simple one, but I kind of feel like C minor is just like a guttural one
That's the
for
right
me.
answer,
It just
yeah.
sort of, it's not the most complex one, but it just feels like home.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks for coming back on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Yay.
That's all for today's episode. Puppies and rainbows till we meet again.